Welcome everyone to another edition of Making an Impact. I am your host, Simply Sensational Billy James here. And wow, Impact Wrestling, this is the first one from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I hope I'm pronouncing that town right. I'm probably not, so please forgive me. Anyway, this is the first of those TV tapings, so there's going to be about 8 of those, I believe. Tonight, it's Havok getting her title shot against Gail Kim for the TNA Knockouts title. Also, Bobby Roode addresses what's next for him after his loss to Bobby Lashley for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. He was not able to beat Lashley to win the title. Also, after winning the New York City Gold Rush last week, Aries is going to tell everyone what title he's going for. And the Wolves, Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards, are going to tell us what stipulation is going to be for the 4th and final match in the TNA Tag Team series between the Wolves, Team 3D, and the Hardys. So, that and a lot more, we're going to get to it. Also, a lot of things going on with TNA. Bound for Glory, they are getting the card put together. They should have been doing this a whole long time ago, but from what I have heard, Bound for Glory is low priority for them. Getting the TV deal is their high priority. I would think Bound for Glory should be right up there, but we'll talk about that more later on here in just a little bit. So let's just go right into it and let's get started. Okay, Impact Wrestling starts off with the greatest man that ever lived, Aries, coming out to the ring to address the crowd. He talks about what title should he go for. He's like, should I challenge Gail Kim for the Knockouts title? That was hilarious. I was laughing my ass off on that one. And he's like, well, should I challenge the Wolves for the TNA Tag Team titles and win the titles by myself? Or should I challenge Samoa Joe for the TNA X Division title? Which that got a lot of reaction from the crowd. Before he could bring up Bobby Lashley's name, out comes Samoa Joe, the current TNA X Division champion, who basically tells Aries, look, if you're going to cash in, you're going to do it against me. Because I am the best. And that's what you're going to do. You ain't taking on anybody but me. So Aries, talks about how they are the 2 greatest. The fans want it, so why not? We're going to have it happen. Aries decides to cash in and his title shot and challenge Samoa Joe for the TNA X Division title. Referee comes down and we got the first match of the night. It was good. I want to say a good solid 10-minute match. Now, you got to keep in mind, this was pre-taped, so the match probably went a little longer, and they just edited it down. Match started off, they were pretty even, going back and forth. Aries broke out a lot of technical moves. At one point in the match, he got Samoa Joe into the last chancery, but he couldn't make Samoa Joe tap out. Samoa Joe had counters for some of Aries' big moves. Aries went for the missile drop kick in the corner, but misses. Couldn't get the brainbuster on Samoa Joe, even though he had him weakened down. One point during the match, Joe took Aries down and then just stood there on the ropes looking at the crowd like, I'm not impressed. I'm like, dude, this is Aries, man. You need to stay on his ass. Wear his ass down. Aries, on his defensive part, was able to block Samoa Joe's attempt at the muscle buster. Went back and forth. Aries finally did get the missile drop kick, and it was nice to see that. Also, a nice suicide dive to the outside of the ring. Samoa Joe just, kept his, used his, his power, chops and, blows. Finally, after hitting another missile drop kick and not being able to hit the muscle buster. Like I said, he hit a nice suicide dive on Samoa Joe, got him back in the ring, but however, Joe able to catch him in the rear naked choke and makes the greatest man to ever live tap out. Samoa Joe is still your TNA X Division champion. Don't mind the match. Great match. I highly recommend you watching it, but I just thought it was a little, didn't make sense for Aries to cash in such a big title shot against Joe for the X Division title when, you got Lashley, who's the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. I did like, before the match began, how Aries talked about he's the longest reigning X Division champion in TNA history, which is a fact. He is also a Triple Crown champion, fact. And, he is a former World Heavyweight champion, fact. Also, in case you didn't know it, his tag team title reign with the TNA Tag Team titles, he held with the man he beat for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and that is the It Factor, Bobby Roode. Throwing a little knowledge on you. Boom! Yeah, you know it. So, again, great match. Just didn't make sense to me. Aries challenging Samoa Joe for the X Division title, but hey, I'm all for it. Great match. Where does this leave Aries at? I have no clue, but hopefully, he'll be back in that title picture for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, one shape, way, or another. But again, damn good match. I highly recommend you watching it. Okay, we had EC3 come down the ring with Rockstar Spud. My God. Could somebody get Spud a fashion consultant? Because that suit is horrendous. I'm telling you, bless her heart, Joan Rivers is rolling around in a freaking grave right now, wondering what the fuck is Spud thinking going out in a suit like that. Okay? Anyway, EC3 starts chastising, bullying Spud, telling him, we're not friends. You are my employee. And you failed my Aunt Dixie Carter. It's your fault she went through a table. And he just really put him through the ringer, ripped his suit, and everything, daring him to slap him, calling him pathetic. Eric Young, of all people, comes out to defend Spud, telling him, don't listen to me, don't listen to him, listen to those fans. I've been where you at. I've been the lackey. I've, doubted myself, blah, blah, blah. You got to listen to the fans. Well, EC3 and Eric Young get into it and go back and forth. EC3 tries lowballing him, trying to cheap shot him, and we get a match. It was not a bad match. Eric Young, in the middle of the match, had some great momentum. After he took EC3 down with a back suplex, went to the top rope, hit the elbow drop, and able to work on EC3. EC3 in the beginning used his big size, used a lot of technique to keep Young down. A nice little chin lock submission hold, but Young was able to get out of it. At the time he hit the elbow drop, he went for the pin, but Rockstar Spud puts EC3's foot on the ropes, breaking the pinfall. Earlier in the match, EC3 tried to get Spud to interfere, but Spud wouldn't, and that caused EC3 to lose the momentum of the match and gave the momentum back to Eric Young. EC3 calls Spud back up on the apron one more time. Spud's on the apron. They argue. Eric Young takes advantage of it, shoves EC3 into Spud. Spud knocked Spud off the apron, but the referee tied up with Spud allows EC3 to gain advantage and low blow Eric Young. Referee doesn't see it. EC3 hits the 1%er. 1, 2, 3. EC3, Ethan Carter III wins. And such. Where's this lead Rockstar Spud? Is he going to turn face? You want me to be honest with you? As the great Huey Lewis once said, who cares? Does anybody give a shit? Not me. I could care less. They could have Rockstar Spud come out in a gator outfit and I could give a shit less. I'm sorry. He sucks. His character sucks. And he hasn't done anything in the ring to impress me. So, I mean, seriously, who gives a shit? EC3, on the other hand, probably one of the best heels that they have. This is a guy that had a lot of potential, who was in the WWE as Derek Bateman, and the WWE dropped the ball with him. TNA brought him in, Ethan Carter III, and they gave him the ball. He's took it, he's ran with it, and he's made himself a player in TNA. And they could have put a title on him right off the bat, but they didn't. And this is a good thing. He could be a great X Division champion. I can't see him right now as a World Heavyweight champion. But as an X Division champion, absolutely I could see him as an X Division champion. So it's going to be interesting if they eventually do that. But nevertheless, this is not like a major match you got to watch and such. But storyline wise, it's pushing toward they're going to do a face turn for Rockstar Spud. I can give a shit less. So that's just my opinion. I am sticking to it. Okay, it's that time. The Wolves come down the ring. They're going to tell us what the stipulation is for the fourth and final match in the TNA World Tag Team Title Series between themselves, Team 3D, and the Hardys. Okay, here's the deal. Earlier in the night, they talked to Kurt Angle, who gave his blessing and said, this is going to be the match of the year. Okay. They come down the ring and they talk about the Hardys and Team 3D and such, and how they want to be the greatest team, and they are going to prove it. Team 3D comes down and Bully Ray goes into heel mode, trash talking the Wolves, saying that Team 3D are tag team gods, and they are not. They're good, but they're not great like Team 3D. The Hardys come down there and stick their nose in it and say, and Matt Hardy says basically, hey, you know what? Guess what? This is our time now. It's time for the legends. You're just going to go to the wayside. And the Wolves don't back down. They basically said, screw that. It's our time. We're the TNA Tag Team Champions. And then a brawl breaks out, and they all three teams start fighting each other. Kurt Angle comes out on the rampway and tells them to break it up, and tells the Wolves to start, making your choice. But before Kurt Angle came down, Team 3D went for a table, the Hardys went for a ladder, and the Wolves had chairs. And the fans are chanting TLC, TLC, TLC. That's when Angle came out and told the Wolves, enough of the bullshit, name your match. And that's when the Wolves announced that the final match in the TNA Tag Team Title Series is going to be Full Metal Mayhem. It's TNA's version of a TLC match, but it's going to be freaking awesome. I tell you, I have seen quite a few Full Metal Mayhems. One of the best that I ever saw was a Bound for Glory. 2011, I do believe, and it was the then TNA Tag Team Champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, defending against Generation X, and it was freaking awesome. It was like one of the matches of the years, in my opinion, but it was like a 4.5 star match. This was a freaking awesome match. Probably one of the best Full Metal Mayhem matches. And now you got it as a triple threat match with Team 3D, the Hardys, and the Wolves. Oh my gosh. It's going to be freaking awesome. If you're not watching Impact Wrestling next week, then there's something wrong with you if you're a wrestling fan, because this is going to be the best match you'll ever see. And probably will be match of the year for TNA. I guarantee it's going to be. No, it's pre-taped. Don't know the results and such. Don't want to know. I want to enjoy the match. I'm looking forward to it. And Full Metal Mayhem, it makes sense. It does make sense, because, hey, it's Team 3D, it's the Hardys, the Wolves. It's going to be freaking awesome, and I don't know what much more to say about that, but I am stoked to see this match. Okay, we had James Storm come down with the great Sonata and his new acquisition into his stable, Manic, who is totally repackaged, new ring attire, whole 9 yards. And for a match, Manic is getting ready to take on a match in his new persona. And who is his opponent? Oh, hell yeah! If you're thinking Stone Cold Steve Austin, I'm afraid you're going to be a little disappointed. Oh, yeah, I'm talking about Stone Cold Shark Boy. Yeah, Shark Boy. He is a stable with TNA, off and on these latter years, but nevertheless, he's in the ring, ready to take on Manic, and he takes him down with after ducking Manic, and takes him down with some punches and slams him down. And then, he takes, whips him into the ring corner and then backdrops him. But he seems to be running out of breath. Manic takes full advantage of this, and that's when it goes to a full squash match. I'm telling you. It hits him with a reverse power bomb into the turnbuckles. And then he takes him down with a snapmare and steps on his face. And then works him over. He goes for a pinfall, but then picks him up. Not ready to pin him. Works on him some more, and it hits the frog splash from the top rope for the win. I still don't know what's going on. Why is James Storm forming his stable? I don't get it, but I like it because it keeps you thinking. It's something unique and fresh for James Storm, and it's interesting. He's took Sonata and totally transformed him. Now Manic. Who's next in this stable? That is what I'm wondering. Great to see Shark Boy back. It was a squash match for Shark Boy, but hey, that's what he is. He's there. He's just there to entertain the fans. It's not like it's going to be a technical 4-star match with Shark Boy, but he's just there to entertain the fans, and he does a good job of it. In case you didn't know, several years ago, he Curry Man. A.K.A. Christopher Daniels, and Eric Young, who was known at the time as Super Eric, was their own superhero team, believe it or not. Then they had some hilarious moments. So it's good to see Shark Boy, but this was all about Manic in his new heel role, and I think they accomplished what they wanted to do. I'm interested in this. I want to see where it's going to go. And more importantly, I want to see who's the next member in Storm's stable. Cowboy James Storm, this is getting interesting, but hey, who knows what's going to happen next. Okay, couple of weeks back, Sergeant Mendez made his in-ring debut in TNA, and prior to that, Kenny King had a match with Mendez and just was vicious with him after the match and totally brutalized him until Anderson came in for the save. Well, this week he challenged MVP because MVP was in on it, and we had a match between MVP and Anderson. Mendez in Anderson's corner, while Kenny King was in MVP's corner. MVP had control of the match starting off the match. At first, Anderson had control, had a waist lock on MVP, but MVP was able to break out of it. MVP sent Anderson to the outside ring. He got in Mendez's face before hitting a nice power slam slam on Anderson on the outs into the guardrails. He rolled Anderson back in the ring, hit and got him into an armbar type submission. Anderson was able to get out of it. He whips MVP toward the ropes, but MVP comes back and hits Anderson in the face with a nice knee. And then he starts hitting multiple knees on Anderson. Anderson is able to finally avoid one of the knees and is able to, starts punching Anderson and hits a clothesline, followed by a swanton. A rolling senton, a rolling senton. I'll get that straight here. And then Anderson tries to go for the mic check. Of course, King tries to jump on the apron to cause a distraction. The referee's dealing with King. Mendez comes and pulls King off of the apron, causing him to hit face first on the apron. And then MVP takes full advantage of it, rolling up Anderson to get the 1-2-3 and gets the win. This was an average match. It wasn't a great match. It wasn't a terrible match. It was just average. You didn't miss anything if you didn't see this match. But, it's like, I'd like to see a decently good match between these two, but who knows where it's going to go. But anyway, bottom line is MVP's your winner. I guess they're going to feud a little more over this. I don't know where it's going to go, but it is what it is. So. Okay, Bobby Roode came down the ring to talk about his loss to Lashley 2 weeks ago on Impact Wrestling, when he was unsuccessful in challenging Bobby Lashley for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Roode talked about how he is the longest reigning TNA champion in the history of TNA. Fact. And he talked about how important that is to him. He's not being cocky about it, but he's just telling the truth. But he wants to be the champion again. It is everything to him to be the champion again. And he talks about that he's worked hard, and that Lashley, he had him. Well, he calls Lashley to the ring, and Lashley comes down, of course, with MVP and King in tow. And Roode talks about, Lashley being dominating, and that Lashley has bowled over his opponents that have challenged him for the title. And the whole time Roode is talking, MVP is standing behind Lashley mocking Roode. Roode talks about their match from 2 weeks ago, and that he didn't get the job done, and that he gave him everything that he had, including the Roode bomb to the outside of the ring, and that he tried everything. But he did say that the first time that Lashley speared him, that Roode kicked out, Lashley had something on his face that he had never seen before, because Roode said he's watched that match over and over again, and the one thing that he walked away from watching that match is that Lashley had a look of shock on his face when Roode kicked out of the spear, the first spear that Lashley hit on him. And Roode talked about, you've never had that happen before, and it shocked you. You had a shock on your face. And he talks about, I came this close to beating you, this close. And Roode says, all I want is another title shot. I want one more shot at that title against you. And it looks like Lashley's getting ready to accept his challenge, but when MVP sticks his nose in and says, no rematch. And Roode makes it clear, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to him, meaning Lashley. But MVP says, no can do, there ain't no going. You're not getting another title shot, and they leave the ring. I think it's going to happen. We're going to see another title match between Roode and Lashley. Can Roode come back and defeat Lashley for the title? That's a good question. I know people have seen spoilers, but I don't read spoilers, so I don't know. But I think that, you know, I think if they're going to pull the title off Lashley, it's going to be Roode who's going to get the title. So I thought it was a great segment. I thought Roode made all the key points and got his point across. And I think Lashley got his point across without even saying a word with his facial expressions. And of course, you know, MVP did a great job being the heel voice for Lashley. So all in all, I think it's a great segment. So hopefully we'll see that match between Lashley and Roode pretty soon. I'd say, if I had to ballpark guess it, either next week or the week after. Probably the week after, because you've got the final match in the TNA Tag Team title series between the Wolves, Team 3D, and the Hardys, Full Metal Mayhem next week. So I don't think they want to upstage that with Roode versus Lashley, but that's just my opinion. So I say the earliest we're going to see this is in about 2 weeks. Okay, tonight Havok is challenging Gail Kim for the TNA Knockouts title after winning the Battle Royale to become the #1 contender. And whoa, this was very interesting. In the middle of the show, we were supposed to have the title match between Gail and Havok. Gail came out to the ring first, and as she's, you know, slapping hands with the fans, Havok comes out and viciously attacks Gail. I mean, they brawled on the outside of the ring. The referee's trying to get them in, and Havok dominates Gail. I mean, brutally, using guardrails. She slammed Gail head first into the ring steps. I mean, brutalizing her viciously, and then gets a bear hug, hammerlock type mover, and slams her into the ring post, hitting that shoulder. I mean, viciously attacked her. I mean, it was sheer power. I mean, Gail tries to fight back, and I give her credit for fighting back, and she's just strong, and she gets a little offense, but it's like Havok was dominating on her, and she wasn't taking any of it. And basically, we don't get the match at this point. Later in the show, trainer's looking at Gail's arm and telling her it looks possibly like a separated shoulder, and Gail is not, I mean, shouldn't wrestle tonight. Gail insists that she wants the match to still happen, and Kurt Angle says, okay, you want to wrestle? We're going to let you go at it. Don't mind me here. I'm just, you know, checking some notes from a friend of mine, his opinion of the match. But anyway, we get it as the main event, and it's like, you know, it's like it was, you know, Gail tried to fight, but it was dominating as Havok just attacks her shoulder. She works on the shoulder the whole time. And, I mean, she just applies the bear hug, slams her into the turnbuckle. Again, she hits the, locks in the hammerlock hold and slams Gail's shoulder into the opposite ring corner. Gail tries kicking her way and hits the ropes. But Havok catches her, and and splashes her, and then she digs into the shoulder blade and hits a shoulder breaker for a 2 count. Gail, fights back a couple of times and is able to get Havok down in the ring corner. Gail gets on the outside ring and locks in the figure 4 leg lock around the ring post, which is pretty smart on Gail's part because it's the arm. Her arm's injured, so she's got to put on some kind of submission move. She goes to the top rope and hits crossbody for a 2 count. She tries for an eat defeat. Havok blocks it. She tries for it again, blocks it. Havok blocks it again, but then Havok hits the hammerlock slam on Gail and then picks her back up, hits the choke slam. 1, 2, 3. Havok is your new TNA Knockouts champion. I give TNA kudos for giving the women the main event. That is very cool. TNA is willing to do that. They've done that on several occasions. WWE, hell no. Hell no, they won't allow them to have a main event. And even if they do give them a main event, it's usually a mixed tag match, and that is a rarity in itself. Multiple times TNA has given their women the main event. Probably the 2 that stick out in my mind the most is Awesome Kong versus Gail Kim in a street fight match, which was Gail's final match in her first run in TNA, and probably one of the best women matches, and I consider it to be her second best match in her career, and that is Tara and Mickie James in a steel cage match. That was freaking phenomenal. This was back in 2010, and it was freaking phenomenal. I will never forget Mickie James coming off the top of the steel cage with the feds press onto Tara. Mickie could have easily blown her knee out. And matter of fact, Tara injured her elbow during that match. So I give Gail great credit. She sold the arm injury. Havok being a dominating monster. I didn't realize how big this Havok is. Jessica Havok, I thought she was like just regular slim girl, but no, she's a plus girl. Nothing wrong with a plus girl, but damn, that girl is like just vicious. She's not the kind of girl you take home to mama, if you know what I mean. But hey, great match. You gotta check this out. Probably it's better than what you're going to see in the WWE right now. I'm telling you that. So you need to check it out. Okay, star of the night for me, Gail Kim. Gotta give her credit. She sold that injury. She did a great job being the underdog champion with the injury. She did a great job selling it to the dominating Havok. She did a great job. So, star of the week for me is bar none Gail Kim. Great show overall. I thought that the Bobby Roode Lashley segment was well done. Aries, Samoa Joe, damn good match. EC3 versus Eric Young was good. The Manic Shark Boy match was there just to put Manic over. It's more of a squash match in my opinion. And the MVP Anderson match was okay. But I think the key things to take away from this Impact Wrestling is A, Havok is your new TNA Knockouts champion. B, the Wolves will face Team 3D and the Hardys in Full Metal Mayhem next week. The winners will be the TNA Tag Team champions. And finally, Bobby Lashley is avoiding a title rematch with Bobby Roode, which I think that is going to happen. Okay, TNA news. Josh Matthews is now going to be working for TNA. He's going to now be doing a YouTube show with Rockstar Spud. God help him. But could he be being groomed to replace someone on the TNA broadcast team? I know a lot of people talk about replacing Mike Tenay, But really, I think the better move would be to replace Taz. I think that Mike Tenay and Josh Matthews would have better chemistry. I like Mike Tenay, okay? Mike Tenay is, to me, he's a damn good ring announcer. I would say he's right behind Jim Ross. Jim Ross, great ring announcer, the best. Probably the best since Gordon Soley, and that's saying a lot. I've heard some, some of the greats. Gordon Soley's one of them. Tony Schiavone, you gotta give the man credit for years. He started out in Jim Crockett's promotion, NWA, Jim Crockett's promotion, which eventually became WCW. He worked with the greats like Bobby Heenan. And Dusty Rhodes. Vince McMahon as an announcer, I wouldn't put him in the top 5. And Michael Cole, I'm sorry, you're not going in my top 5. So, with that being said, I think that would be the best move for Josh Matthews. No announcement on a TV deal for TNA yet, but hopefully they will get something locked in. Bound for Glory is shaping up, but it's really, they haven't put more effort into it like I think they should have. There was original talk that there wouldn't be a Knockouts match at this pay-per-view, but there will be now. It will be Havok taking on Velvet Sky. So, interesting. And I'm pretty sure about that. So, I'll double check that, later on. But nevertheless, not a bad show. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. So, very good. All right, guys, catch me back next week. Hey, I appreciate it. Last week's show, 29 views already. So, thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, let me get some quick plugs in there. Don't forget, check out the Wrestling Debate on Blog Talk Radio, the Nerdport Network. Got to check that out with myself and John Mayer. Got to check that out. Also, since I brought up my good buddy John's name, you got to check out John's Independent Point of View. It's every Wednesday on the Nerdport Network on Blog Talk Radio. And John has his pulse on the independent scene, especially up in the New York, Jersey area. Pro Wrestling Syndicate, probably one of the best independents going on right now in that area, and John has his finger on it. He has some great interviews with wrestlers and independent wrestlers, so you gotta check it out. And from what I heard, he's going to have a nice surprise this upcoming Wednesday, so you gotta check it out. Okay, well, that's it for Making an Impact. Thank you guys for joining me, and we'll catch you all next week.